Hi, I'm Luna, and this is Luna Report. She came in wearing an old apron. They mistook her for a cleaner, bullied her, and insulted her, but she didn't take it. She picked up a knife and showed them who's boss. What happened next? Find out on Luna Report. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Luna. Back to the studio, and we begin. The gates of the Hartwell Institute of Culinary Excellence loomed like the entry to a palace, wrought iron swirls kissed with gold leaf, flanked by marble lions and a wall of ivy too precisely trimmed to be real. Inside, the hall smelled of imported truffle oil and citrus floor polish. Students in monogrammed chef coats whisked past with copper pans and attitudes sharp enough to fillet. Then Lily walked in. No applause, no fanfare, just the soft thud of her shoes. $12 canvas knockoffs from a drugstore bin. Her apron was thin and faded, a local bodega's logo stretched across it in peeling ink. Her hair was tucked into a simple knot, her expression unreadable. "Hey," a voice muttered near the front desk. "Who let the dish crew in through the main entrance?" The receptionist didn't even look up as she handed Lily a clipboard. Kitchen intern, sanitation and prep team, downstairs, second corridor, no touching the knives. That was how it began. Her first assignment, remove onion skins from a 50-pound bag, then scrub the sink drains. For the next 3 days, she worked in silence under the humming of industrial lights, the stink of bleach seeping into her hands. Students passed her without eye contact unless they needed someone to blame for a missing spatula. On day 4, the whispers turned sharp. "She wears that same apron every day. Is she homeless?" "Nah, she's just here to qualify for a work-study program. Probably couldn't afford the real tuition." God, look at her. With that face, she could sell shawarma at the Amtrak station. Lily said nothing. She sliced bell peppers while they laughed. She mopped tomato pulp from the floor as they snapped photos of foie gras for Instagram. But her eyes flicked toward the spices, coriander, rosemary, smoked paprika, and her fingers sometimes hovered above them for a beat too long. Watching, memorizing, listening. "She's weird," a sous chef whispered once, smirking. "Creepier than weird," another replied. "Bet she doesn't even eat, like a ghost that smells garlic." Then came the week of the master class, a closed-door affair for VIP students, visiting critics, and wealthy donors. The chef-in-residence, Aldo Prentice, had designed the menu himself: duck confit with honey gastrique, seared scallops over fennel puree, and a signature dish he claimed took 10 years to perfect. That afternoon, Aldo left early. "Family emergency," he barked, vanishing into his Maserati without another word. Panic spilled through the kitchen like boiling oil. No one had cooked the signature dish before. Not alone, not unsupervised, not with guests arriving in 90 minutes and a camera crew setting up in the hall. "We're screwed," someone muttered. "Call Aldo. He won't answer. He hates being bothered when he's off duty." In the chaos, Lily walked to the stove. At first, no one noticed. Then someone laughed. Then someone stared. "What the hell are you doing?" barked Celine, a top student in a pearl-buttoned coat. "Get away from that station." Lily didn't respond. She checked the oil's temperature, poured a splash of white wine into the reduction pan, picked up a carving knife with a grip so precise it made people go quiet. "You're kidding, right?" another student said, their voice edged with disbelief. But no one moved to stop her. The smells changed. Sweet shallots, sharp citrus, a sear that made your mouth water. Lily worked with a kind of elegant efficiency that didn't belong in this building. Her movements were poetry, not performance. She never asked for help. Never asked for permission. Exactly 30 minutes later, she plated the dish. It shimmered under the lights. And when the first student tasted it, the room fell silent. Then the whispers began. "This is better than Aldo's version. The rosemary, it's like a separate actor. How did she, who is she?" But Lily didn't answer. She just stepped back, wiped her hands on her apron, and turned away, leaving only a simple signature piped-in balsamic reduction at the plate's edge. "LM." When Chef Aldo returned that night, the kitchen was unnaturally quiet. No one barked orders, no burners hissed. The students hovered in corners like children caught cheating. He noticed immediately. "Where's the dish?" he asked, loosening his tie. "Please tell me someone managed to plate." Celine stepped forward, cheek still flushed. "It was served." "Served by whom?" She hesitated. "Lily," she said. "The intern." Aldo froze. It was her dish. She cooked it. All of it. Alone. There was a beat of silence, then a laugh that came out too loud. "You're joking," Aldo said. "She was assigned prep. She's not even allowed near the protein station." No one laughed with him. Aldo's gaze snapped to the empty plate at the presentation table. There, beneath the caramelized skin of the duck, right where his signature would normally sit, were two initials written in delicate glaze, LM. He went pale. The letters hit him like a blade. LM. Lily M., he whispered, stumbling back a step. The blood drained from his face. He turned, walking too fast into his office and slamming the door. The others were left in stunned silence. What the hell was that? Someone muttered. I think he knows her. Wait, LM. That can't be. Not that LM. In the next 24 hours, the culinary world began to buzz. An anonymous photo of the plated dish appeared on social media, tagged by one of the donors. New version of Aldo's classic. Mysterious twist. Best version yet. Who is LM? Food blogs picked it up. The comments exploded with that rosemary reduction. Pure genius. Aldo's dish? No. This is better. Way better. LM? That name sounds familiar. Back at the academy, Lily returned to her usual duties. Washing sinks. Scraping pans. Being ignored. But the staff weren't sure how to look at her anymore. One of the junior chefs tried to ask about the dish, stumbling through a compliment. Lily only nodded. Later, a student peeked into the pantry where she was stacking onions. You're LM, aren't you? She didn't answer. The girl left, unsettled. It was Celine who finally snapped. You just waltz in here, make one fancy plate, and now suddenly we're all supposed to bow? She hissed in the break room. Who the hell are you? Lily met her eyes, calm as ever. No one, she said. But her silence now had weight. By midnight, rumors had reached every major culinary subreddit. LM. The blog that took down Prentice. The anonymous chef who wrote that review. And somewhere deep in the Hartwell archives, an old professor checked his emails, pulled up an archived screenshot from 3 years ago, and whispered, My God, she's back. By the next morning, the entire academy was on edge. The faculty lounge pulsed with nervous speculation, while the student kitchen buzzed like a hive struck by a stick. Lily arrived at 6 a.m. as always, her apron wrinkled, her hair in its usual knot. She clocked in, grabbed a mop, and started scrubbing under the cold prep tables. The gossip was no longer whispered. She's some kind of ghost blogger, right? Like she took down that place in New York? You mean Aldo's old flagship? The one that got slammed by that viral review? No one even knew who wrote that. LM was just a pseudonym. Exactly. And now she shows up here scrubbing our floors? The mockery took on a bitter edge. It wasn't just cruel anymore, it was afraid. Celine led the charge. Oh, please, she sneered in the walk-in fridge, her voice sharp with desperation. Even if she is some blogger, big deal. She cooked one dish. That doesn't make her a chef. And frankly, the fact she didn't tell anyone, that's shady as hell. Another student chimed in, yeah, why lie? Why sneak in here like a rat? She's manipulating all of you, Celine snapped. She wants attention. Just another failed foodie trying to ride Aldo's coattails. Lily heard it all. From the back of the kitchen, bent over a grease trap, she caught every word. But she didn't flinch. She never did. Later that afternoon, Aldo emerged from his office. His eyes were bloodshot, his jaw tight. He didn't speak to Lily, didn't acknowledge her, but he walked into the dean's office and closed the door for nearly an hour. By dinner time, something shifted. Lily's name was removed from the prep roster. Her name was now under observer. She was no longer allowed to cook, not even vegetables. Celine smirked when she saw it. Guess the admin finally realized they had a fraud in the kitchen. One of the students printed a fake name tag for Lily, El Mope, Sous Janitor. They taped it to her locker. Another posted a photo of her bodega apron on Instagram, captioned, Gourmet Ghost, Floor Chef. What even is that? It got over 8,000 likes in 3 hours. Someone added a comment. She looks like she cleans train stations. Bet she doesn't even have a culinary degree. Probably faked her way in. Disgusting. Lily removed the name tag. Quietly, folded it in half, placed it in her bag, then returned to the sink. That night, as the academy dimmed and everyone went home, she stayed late. Alone in the kitchen, she scrubbed in silence. And before she left, she adjusted the spice shelf. Just a little. She swapped the old rosemary jar with one from her own bag, dried at home, hand ground. She paused, closed the lid, and whispered, One more chance. The day after Lily's demotion, the Academy held a donor showcase, a staged lunch for investors and influencers, with cameras circling every course. Celine and her clique were front and center, their coats pressed, their smiles rehearsed. Lily? She was stationed in the back corridor, mopping up a broken vinegar spill that no one admitted causing. She should be grateful she's even allowed in the building, muttered Trevor, a second year known more for his father's steakhouse chain than his skill. I mean, really, look at her. He said it as Lily walked past, carrying a bin of carrot peels. You missed a spot, Celine called, pointing with the tip of her spatula. Or is that gourmet enough for you? Laughter erupted. She probably thinks sweeping is part of her culinary journey.
Bet she writes a whole blog post about mop handles and rosemary.
Trevor raised his phone. Smile for the camera. Chef LM. Let's see if that signature works on janitor uniforms. The photo was up in minutes. Caption: Foodie fraud caught cleaning toilets. Un-LM stands for Losser. By lunchtime, it had been shared to over 12 private culinary group chats, including ones run by alumni and faculty. One even added her to a meme thread titled Imposters in the Kitchen. Screenshots leaked, comments poured in. I'd fire her immediately. If she really was LM, she'd be on Top Chef, not scrubbing tile grout. She's just a wannabe with a good palate and a poverty complex. That last one stung most.
Because it wasn't posted by a student.
It came from Aldo's burner account, the one only a few former staff recognized. At 4:12 p.m., a delivery arrived at the front desk. A magazine, Gourmet Realm, July edition. The cover, a close-up of the mystery plate from the masterclass. Caption:
Anonymous perfection. Who is LM?
The dean saw it first, then the faculty, then the students. The timing was no coincidence. Lily was in the pantry when Celine burst in, magazine in hand. You planned this, she hissed. You planted that dish, waited for Aldo to leave. This whole thing, it's just a stunt. Lily looked up, her hands dusted with flour. Is that what you think? She said quietly. Oh, don't play innocent, Celine snapped. You're not some humble prodigy. You're a manipulator, a fraud, a kitchen parasite who knew exactly how to get attention. She ripped the magazine in half and threw it on the floor. You're not a chef, you're a stain. The pantry door slammed behind her. Lily knelt, gathered the pieces, and gently folded the cover into her apron pocket. That night she stayed even later, but not to cry, to cook. Just once, when no one was watching. And as the lights flickered off across the campus, the scent of rosemary and fire-seared duck rose softly into the vents, simmering like a ghost. The next day, the air at the Hartwell Institute buzzed with false calm. Cameras had arrived for the Academy's monthly live stream, a curated glimpse into the world of rising culinary stars. Students prepped their most photogenic dishes, polishing plates with linen cloths and plating microgreens with tweezers. Lily was assigned to trash duty. She rolled bins through the pristine corridor in silence, the scent of citrus degreaser clinging to her sleeves. She better stay out of the shot, Celine whispered to a cameraman. We're trying to market excellence, not folklore. But Lily was hard to miss, especially to the man in the charcoal suit who arrived mid-morning, tall, unsmiling, a press badge clipped to his lapel. His name was Mark Halden, senior editor for Gourmet Realm. He said he was here for observation. No one suspected anything until he lingered near the prep line where Lily worked silently on scraps. At one point, she adjusted a stock pot on the back burner, corrected the heat, and added a bay leaf from her apron pocket. Mark watched, took notes. By noon, the Instagram backlash had begun. Someone leaked the floor chef meme. But instead of joining in, many of the comments turned hard. Wait, this is LM. You're mocking her and calling yourselves professionals? That dish on the cover was the best we've seen in a decade. And this is how you treat her. The mood in the kitchen shifted. An instructor tried to calm the tension. Let's focus on craft, not drama. But a senior student named Danny wasn't having it. She's not drama, Danny muttered, throwing down a tasting spoon. She's the best cook in this building. We all tasted it. That was real. Celine glared. Oh, now you're a fan? I'm not a fan. I'm a witness. Mark, quietly eavesdropping, raised an eyebrow. Later that evening, a private email landed in the dean's inbox. Subject: urgent inquiry, LM, identity confirmation. Attached was a side-by-side. One image, the now famous plated duck dish from the Hartwell masterclass. The other, a private post from a deleted gastroblog 3 years ago, known only to industry insiders. The signatures matched. Mark didn't need a forensic analyst. He needed only the line he wrote in his notes. The girl scrubbing floors is the author of the most devastating restaurant critique in New York culinary history. At 10:46 p.m., Aldo Prentice received a call. He didn't answer, because he already knew. By the following morning, the kitchen felt nervous. Everyone sensed it, a shift, like standing on glass that was beginning to crack. No one spoke to Lily. Not with mockery, not with malice, not even with feigned kindness. They simply watched her. From behind blenders, over cutting boards, from the corners of the break room, as if waiting for her to suddenly transform into something monstrous or divine. Even Celine was quiet. Her cruelty had grown brittle, sharp-edged, and defensive. "I don't care what some magazine says," she muttered during prep. "She's still just an intern. No degree, no portfolio, no credentials. You can't just show up and be a legend." But she wasn't talking to anyone. Just herself. Because by now, the truth was spreading fast. Mark Halden hadn't stayed silent. Within 24 hours, he'd confirmed the IP address tied to the now-defunct blog, Midnight Me's, known for its anonymous reviews, poetic descriptions, and the single takedown that destroyed Aldo's New York flagship. That review had gone viral not because it was mean, but because it was perfect, brutal, precise, and full of aching disappointment. The dish was ambition wrapped in arrogance, like a symphony played on out-of-tune strings in a gold-plated theater. Now, that signature LM had been matched. And Lily, the quiet girl with the bodega apron, was that signature. Mark emailed the Institute again. Subject, official request for comment, culinary identity and internal misconduct. This time, the dean responded. Briefly, then called Aldo into her office. He emerged an hour later, pale, his lips drawn tight as butcher's twine. At lunch, he stood before the students and made an announcement. "We are restructuring some kitchen assignments, effective immediately." That was all he said. But the whispers exploded. "She's LM. It's real. It's confirmed." She's the one who shut down Prentice and Pine. With words. Just a blog. No wonder Aldo freaked. She torched his entire reputation. In the staff locker room, someone had scrawled on the whiteboard, "Respect the silence. She's earned it." That evening, Lily arrived at her station to find her knives missing. Instead, a single folded note. "Leave before you burn this place, too." It wasn't signed. But the implication was clear. She'd become the match in a room full of dry kindling. And everyone knew it. That night, the air in the kitchen was suffocating. No one dared speak Lily's name aloud anymore. They called her, or that girl, or nothing at all. Like if they acknowledged her too clearly, she'd become undeniable. And that terrified them more than anything. The Institute issued a vague internal memo. "Recent misidentifications and social media rumors have led to disruptions in class structure. We remind all students to focus on growth, not gossip." But it was too late. The truth had already entered the bloodstream, and it was coursing fast. Mark Halden's article dropped the next morning, front page of Gourmet Realm's digital edition. Titled "The Knife in the Mirror, When Greatness Hides in Plain Sight." Hartwell's janitor intern is the anonymous critic who dismantled Aldo Prentice and may be the most brilliant culinary voice of her generation. The article didn't name her directly, legal constraints, maybe, but everyone knew LM had returned. And she had been watching them the entire time. The fallout hit like fire. That afternoon, Lily was summoned to the dean's office. The summons came via a whisper from a staff aide who couldn't quite look her in the eyes. Lily walked the halls like a phantom. Students fell silent as she passed, part awe, part shame. A few lowered their eyes. One mouthed, "I'm sorry." Celine did neither. Instead, she stood outside the dean's office waiting, her arms crossed, her nails perfectly painted. When Lily arrived, Celine blocked the door. "You don't deserve this," she hissed. Lily met her eyes, calm, level, tired. "You humiliated everyone. You tricked us into mocking you. That makes you worse than us." Lily didn't flinch. She simply replied, "You didn't need help." Then stepped past her and into the office. Inside, the dean stood. So did Aldo. His face was tight with exhaustion. The lines around his mouth were deeper now. His pride, once bulletproof, sagged like wet parchment. The dean spoke first. "Miss Morrow, it seems there's been an omission in your application."
Lily said nothing.
Aldo stepped forward, voice trembling with control. "You should have told us who you were." "Would it have changed how you treated me?" she asked, soft. He faltered. And in that silence, something cracked, not loudly, like silverware dropped onto marble. Quiet, but final. Because the room realized she hadn't come to hide. She'd come to see. That evening, the dean held an emergency staff meeting. The air in the boardroom was thick with discomfort. Faculty sat rigid in their chairs, their expressions flickering between concern and damage control. Aldo stood near the window, arms crossed, staring out at the skyline like it might offer a way out. The dean began slowly. "Miss Morrow's identity is no longer speculative. Gourmet Realm confirmed it independently, and her work has been archived in the Library of Culinary Critique, which makes her," she paused, "a figure of historic significance." A silence followed. Then Aldo spoke, his voice low, and a saboteur. Several heads turned. The dean frowned. Excuse me? She didn't come here to learn, Aldo said, still not turning from the window. She came here to expose us. And what exactly did she expose? Asked Chef Mehta, a quiet instructor who'd remained mostly neutral through the week. Aldo hesitated. She manipulated this place, took advantage of our blind spots. No, said Mehta, voice steady. She revealed them. A murmur rippled through the room. Do any of you deny what happened? Mehta asked. How she was treated before anyone knew her name? No one answered, because no one could. Meanwhile, outside that room, the students were breaking their own silences. Danny organized a quiet sit-in. 10 students sitting cross-legged outside the prep kitchen with printouts of Lily's blog pieces in their hands. Each read a different one aloud, passages about the philosophy of flavor, the ethics of sourcing, the role of humility in hot cuisine. Not a protest, a tribute. And by nightfall, photos of the sit-in went viral. Caption, we failed her, we mocked her, she cooked anyway. Lily Morrow, we see you now. Inside her dorm room, Lily sat on her twin mattress, back straight, arms folded. Her inbox was overflowing. Job offers, podcast invites, speaking engagements, book deals. And still she said nothing. Until the email from Gourmet Realm arrived. A request to write a new column under her real name. She stared at the screen, then typed only 2 words, not yet. Because her work wasn't done. Not here. Not until every hand that mocked her had to reckon with what they'd dismissed. The next morning, the Hartwell Institute's pristine white-tiled halls felt strangely hollow. The laughter had gone. So had the arrogance. No more perfume-misted insults. No more smug grins from students who thought their last names guaranteed immunity. Only a slow awareness spreading like a gas leak. They were being watched. Because Gourmet Realm had released a follow-up article, not just about Lily, but about the Academy, its culture, its hierarchy, its failure. Screenshots of social media posts mocking Lily, photos of the fake name tag, videos of laughter as she scrubbed trash bins. Mark Halden had been thorough. And now donors were pulling funding. Alumni were issuing statements. Hartwell's brand, once glossy as lacquered duck skin, was beginning to crack. The dean called another emergency meeting. This time it was student only. She looked exhausted, her usual composed posture now folded, voice low. There will be changes, she said, immediate ones. Celine raised her hand too fast, too rehearsed. May I speak? The dean nodded. Celine stood. Her voice was high, brittle. I think there's been a misunderstanding. We never meant to hurt her. It was a joke. No one thought she was worthy. Lily's voice cut through. The room twisted. She had entered without sound, no apron, no gloves, just a plain black shirt and her usual knot of hair. Celine's voice died in her throat. Lily walked slowly to the front of the room and stopped. I wasn't offended by the jokes, she said, voice steady. I've heard worse. Silence. I was disturbed by how quickly people laughed, how easy it was to assume I was less because I looked like less. No one moved. You didn't hate me because I failed. You hated me because I didn't beg. A few students flinched. Others looked down at their hands. You think power is granted by coats and kitchens, but real skill doesn't ask for permission. She stepped back. Do I want your apologies? No. A pause. I want your honesty. And then she walked out, leaving behind a silence so thick it tasted like ash. Outside, reporters waited. So did offers, opportunities, interviews, but Lily just walked past. Because her justice wasn't a headline. It was the image burned into every student's memory. Her, calm, unflinching, walking out of a room that once mocked her, and making it hers. The fallout came not in flames, but in ice. Over the next week, the Hartwell Institute issued a formal apology, an open letter signed by the board, posted across all platforms. We failed to uphold the values of dignity, merit, and humility. For this, we take full responsibility. But it was too late to patch the cracks. 3 major donors withdrew their endowments. 2 instructors resigned quietly. And Aldo Prentice was gone, his office stripped, his nameplate removed. No announcement, just a line in an internal memo. Effective immediately, Chef Prentice is no longer affiliated with Hartwell. Rumor had it he left a note. Not bitter, not angry, just one line, written in shaking script. She was better than me. Lily stayed for one more day, just long enough to teach a class. The dean asked, not as an administrator, but as a woman who, at long last, understood the difference between authority and wisdom. The class was held in the demonstration kitchen. Full attendance, no whispers, no smirks, just silence, like a cathedral before the sermon. Lily stood at the front in a plain white apron. Her movements calm, intentional. "This is not a masterclass," she began. "This is a mirror." She placed ingredients on the table: rosemary, honey, duck breast, charred orange peel. The same dish. But as she cooked, she spoke not of techniques or temperature, but of silence, of restraint, of what it means to be underestimated and what it costs to remain gentle anyway. "I don't want you to cook like me," she said. "I want you to taste like me. I want you to know what it means to cook with no applause waiting, no spotlight, just hunger, just truth." She plated the dish, left it at the center of the room,
then walked away.
That evening, a courier arrived at Gourmet Realm's New York office. Inside the package, a handwritten note, a recipe card, and a small sealed envelope. The envelope contained a photograph. Lily standing alone beside a stove, firelight dancing on her face, her hands gently lowering rosemary into a sauce. The recipe would become the cover of Gourmet Realm's autumn issue. The return of flavor, a dish without permission. By the next semester, Hartwell had revised its admissions policy. No legacy points, no appearance scores, just skill. They named the new criteria the Morrow Standard. And beneath that banner, her recipe still hangs in the Academy's main hallway, unframed, no gold plaque. Just a plate. Signed softly in sauce, LM